There we go. I heard it. We heard it go. So, first of all, I'm sure you're curious. Who are we who get to do this extraordinary work here at Trent? So, my name is Karen. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the study abroad advisor here at Trent. And I'm part of a larger team, an extraordinary family at Trent International. And I'm really fortunate to have been able to do this job for the past 2 years. Um, when I'm not at work, I have an incredible family at home. My pup Idgie, who actually occasionally gets to visit the office with me, you'll see her up over in the top right. And then on the other side, you'll see my extraordinary family. I must have made this a few years ago because my kids are now 12 and 15. And if you have any questions about getting comfortably outdoors into the wilderness of Canada, I was a wilderness guide for many years. I'm a passionate biker and bike instructor and canoe instructor, a traveler of lots of different places and lots of different study abroads, actually. I started when I was in grade 10, I started in Quebec and have also done study abroads in France and Germany and Cuba, in Guatemala during university, and then lived for 2 years in Ecuador. So I'm very fortunate to have been able to embrace all of these possibilities. And I'm also, like yourselves, in the midst of being a student. So I'm a Master's of Education student and almost done that, actually, but just doing it one course at a time. And the lovely Trinity.
Yes. So as I said before, my name is Trinity. My official title is Student Marketing and Promotions Assistant. But mainly I do a little bit of everything. Um, some of my interests that I just have up here, hockey or ice hockey. I always recommend that students catch a game while they're here. It's like the ultimate Canadian experience. I also like Formula One, musicals, reading, and traveling as well. I have two pets, you can see in the corner there. My dog Bjorn, and then my cat Heaven. And then I'm currently studying mass media and journalism, but I also have a degree in anthropology. So if you have any questions about what to take at Trent to do with those topics, you can ask me and I'll be able to share my opinions on the class that I've taken so far. And as I said, I did study abroad in England, but I also did a archaeological field school in Belize for 5 weeks, which was an incredible experience. And I've also traveled to places like Mexico, Scotland, Italy, the US a bunch of times since we are so close, and also Costa Rica. And I've been in this position for 3 years. So I know the student side of things, and I also know the background of things. So any questions, just let me know.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm going to stop share for a moment because, Zach, if you're comfortable, could I ask you to take the mic for a moment and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I don't have as many qualifications as you guys, but I'm Zach. I've been like Karen said earlier, I've been here since September. I'm on Trent right now. I live on campus. I'm from Wales, but I study in Plymouth in the south of England. I'm an education student. Um, this is the first time I've left the UK, so I'm really glad it's gone well, but except for the glasses situation. But we will get to that in a second. But
Don't jump
yeah,
in the river every day of the year, perhaps.
if you're going into the river, take off your glasses. But yeah, I'm really enjoying, and it's really I want to travel more now because I've done this. So yeah, have I missed anything that you wanted me to say?
Well, Would you tell us just a little bit about what you became involved in at
Okay.
uh, at Trenton, how you made it such an extraordinary experience?
Okay. I don't want to hijack the PowerPoint, so I'll make this brief. So I decided I'm already out of my comfort zone going to a new country. Let's push the boat out a bit more. And I joined the Trent University improv team without having any stage experience at all. And we've been around the province and around the country doing competitions. We've gone to Calgary, which is more east, and y- yeah, that's just been great. And we've won competitions, and we're going to New York in 2 months. So that's also fun. Is that what you were
That
hoping
is
for?
absolutely fabulous. I will say also that this will not be the only session that we host. We'll also host semi-regular um, Ask Me Anythings. And Zach was on everyone. And because he was on everyone, he really deeply understood, and you don't need to be on everyone, but he really deeply understood how to get involved at Trent, even to the point that he actually was able to form what has become renowned as the Champlain Five. His his group of
Yeah.
housemates who were other study abroad students and the most fortunate mature student on campus. And
Fortunate.
absolutely she is. And and that really transformed their experience by engaging kind of with a community within a community and was incredibly courageous. So yeah, thank you so much, Zach, sorry, for being on the call and for sharing a bit of your experience. And I know we'll have more questions for you as we go along. Okay, back to the share. And I did notice someone pop in, so welcome. All right. So very important. We do want to share a little bit of an overview with you of what you need to know and when you'll find out. So there are some absolutely critical elements. You have been nominated by your home university, and we ask them to only nominate the best. So thank you so much. Also, you've all completed your applications, and really well done. We've been reviewing them and we've been starting to input your information into our Trent system so that we can produce what's called a letter of acceptance. That is your golden ticket that ensures you're going to be able to come to Trent via whatever immigration pathway is necessary for you. Karen, how will I know what my essential immigration pathway is? We will actually have an immigration session on May 3rd with, uh, she's a certified immigration specialist. That certificate in Canada is called a RISIA. And she'll be doing a recorded presentation for us on the 3rd that's going to identify for folks what immigration paperwork they need and what process they need to take in order to successfully get here. As Zach can tell you, it is a little bit of a complex process, especially for those of you who are staying longer than 6 months in Canada. Barbara does an incredible job of laying out all of the steps for you and is very happy to help you in the process. As Zach will also know, Trinity and myself, we don't hold that certificate and we will always forward on questions that relate to immigration. We won't ever take on the challenge of answering them ourselves. So stay tuned. It will actually be at this on this medium, Zoom, but Barbara will actually be sending out her own link to you. Just be aware of that and along with any instructions to join on May 3rd. Also, once you successfully get here, you want to be housed well. And on May 12th, we're going to have a session that talks all about housing how our incredible housing team is going to place you, what the costs of housing are, whether you're staying for 4 months or whether you're staying for the entire year, and some of the nuances of houses, some of the things that might be different or feel unusual from how you might experience housing at your home university. Trent does guarantee housing. However, you do need to register by the deadline in order to be guaranteed housing. Also, for many of you, you know this is an academic exchange, and that requires you to register for courses. We're going to, in early June, be having a course registration webinar. The reason we can't do it earlier is that our course calendar with our timetable isn't released until late May. And we want to make sure that you're actually having an accurate experience of knowing how to draft your courses for us. Also, we know that study abroad is expensive and we don't want you to be surprised by any of the fees. We recommend that you go to our study abroad inbound student page in order to find out all of the fees that you're responsible for. A few that I like to say out loud: you are responsible for our mandatory healthcare, which is called UHIP, and you are responsible for paying all of your housing and food while you're here. You're not responsible, however, for paying tuition to Trent. That actually gets paid to your home institution if you pay it. And we also did want to mention, and I'm just going to admit somebody coming in here. There we go. Whoop. That all of these fees are outlined on our study abroad inbound student page. And that is a core resource for you. Again, and Zach's heard me say this many times, I don't like surprises for students when they're not necessary. So we do lay it out really well. I encourage you to visit that page, but then also ask us questions for clarity, because again, we don't want you to be surprised. We know that it's an expensive undertaking, and especially related to finance. We don't want you to have any surprises. So if you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Karen and I'm the Study Abroad Advisor. And the entire session is being recorded, so don't fret. I am going to turn it over to Trinity to share next here.
Thank you, Karen. So we have a lot in this presentation, but it's going to go by really quickly. But essentially, this presentation really just encompasses what it will be like to study abroad in Canada and specifically in our region. We're just going to go over topics like geography, animal and wildlife, cultural differences, weather and seasons, transportation, language and accents, food, some Canadian activities that we recommend you try out while we're here, as well as I've thrown in some fun facts. And so at any point in this presentation, if you have a question, either come off the mic and interrupt me, that's completely okay, or there's a function to raise your hand or drop the question in the chat. Any of those options work. I find if I keep questions in my head, I forget to ask them. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have. This experience is really for you, and so you will make the most out of it. Karen, did you want me to share with my screen? Oh, or you got that back. Okay. All right, so where are we? So as Karen was saying, we are in Peterborough. It's quite funny, actually, when I was creating this page, we had a discussion about how we say Peterborough. For those from the UK, you might also know that you have a Peterborough. And when you come over here, you'll notice that when the English settlers came over here, they were not very original with their ideas. So a lot of our town and city names are very identical to the ones that are in the UK. Um, a couple of them are different, but for the most part, they're very English. So the way that we pronounce it is Peterborough. Um, and so we're kind of located in southern Ontario in that circle there. And so we are actually the second largest country in the world, second to only Russia. So we're actually pretty big. And you can see in the photos there that our campus looks different depending on what season it is. And we do experience all four seasons. It's actually one of my favorite things about our country. So if you're coming in the fall, you'll experience our summer, our fall, and our winter. Um, and then, yeah, so you'll have the opportunity to experience everything. Geography. I'm a little bit of a geography nerd, so I just included some stuff here. Um, some things just, I guess, fun facts about our country. Um, a lot of what makes up Canada in a certain area is the Canadian Shield, and it's basically, if you look in the big photo there, it's just a rock formation. It makes about 50% of Canada's landmass, and it's about 1 billion years old and was formed by the glaciers. So if you look, you can see some fossils in it sometimes that are millions, if not billions of years old, which is really cool. Um, and when it comes to lakes and rivers, you've already seen the photo that was on the front of our presentation. We have a river that runs right through our campus. Um, in Canada in general, we have about 2 million lakes, which is about 15 to 20% of the world's global fresh water. Um, and we also have what is known as the Great Lakes. To remember all of them, we learned this acronym HOMES in school because it's Lake Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. Um, we also have an Arctic tundra. So about 50-ish% of the north of our country is in a permanent permafrost. And you'll notice that is and because of that, sorry, that I would say 80% of our population live within the border near the US. And that's because a lot of the country is just an Arctic tundra. Um, and so we can't necessarily live on that land. We do have a lot of indigenous populations who live in our territories. I don't know why it says 13 territories. We have three. We have 10 provinces and three territories. Um, and territories are the three northernmost areas of our country, while the provinces are the lower, and our province that we're in right now is Ontario. Animals and wildlife. I included this page because in listening to feedback from our previous inbound students, a lot of them thought they were going to see certain wildlife when they came here, and they're very surprised that they didn't. So even though Canada is very much known for its nature and its wildlife, in the Peterborough area, there will not be any dangerous or scary necessarily wildlife that you'll see on campus. Some of the things you will see are these cute little squirrels and chipmunks. They will be all over campus. Um, you'll also see geese. They are the one with the black neck there. They're called Canadian geese, and they can be pretty territorial. So just be wary of these birds because they are fearless. They will just be walking on the ground. And just want to keep an eye out for them, especially during kind of their mating season because that's when they're laying eggs and such. And then with these other creatures, as you said, we are near a lake. So you may see an otter swimming in the stream. You may even see a beaver. Um, and then you'll definitely see a raccoon, which is the far right corner here. And they'll probably be near trash. We call them trash pandas. And they look really cute, but they can be quite vicious. So I would not go close to a raccoon. Um, but these are pretty friendly animals for the most part, and they're pretty tiny. Besides this right here, the bird with the fish in its mouth. That's probably the scariest bird of prey that we'll have. And then you may also see frogs, turtles, fish being near the river as well. Some things you won't see Starting with the moose there, you may not think it's big, but it is a very, very tall animal. And with those antlers, it can be quite dangerous. So you probably won't see one unless you go somewhere in like a provincial park. And if you do see one, please be cautious. They may look nice, but they can be quite aggressive sometimes. So just be wary. Um, you also won't see bears. We have bears, but you will not see them. They are definitely in forested areas like provincial parks as well. Same with things like cougars and with wolves. So they tend to be in more remote areas, and they tend to stay away from people and very populated areas. So you will not encounter any of these unless you specifically go to a park. I know one of our inbound students went to a park and she saw a moose and she was very excited. But you will not see them in Peterborough. Next, we have cultural differences. So, um, depending on what country you're coming from or what area of the world, coming to Canada may be a big culture shock for you, and it might not be. And maybe some things will be familiar and some things won't. And so, one thing we always get is the difference in small talk. So, some countries are more reserved, they're more straight to the point, no beating around the bush. Um, Canada is not so much like that. If you go into a store, if you are shopping, people will immediately greet you that work there and be like, "How are you? How are you doing? How can I help you?" Um, if it's a stranger who's greeting you at like a Starbucks and they're asking how you are, it's very much kind of like a formal, "How are you?" You say, "I'm good," and then they're like, "How can I help you?" Um, but if it's like you're someone who you're speaking with friends, they'll kind of be asking you in a more detailed level, a deeper level, like they actually want to know how you are. Um, but yeah, it's difficult to get used to sometimes if you don't come from a place where they do this all the time, but just get used to small talk when you meet people from the first time, when you're going to your classes, when you're meeting your profs, they will start this small talk. Um, and it is genuine. They want to know how you're doing, um, but it may catch you off guard. So I'm just putting this out to let you know um, how it is that we do common greetings.
And
Um,
Trinity, I will jump in here as well to say when we ask how you are, we genuinely want to know how you're doing, the good, the bad, the ugly, warts and all, truly, because we are actually seeking to make your experience the best that it can be. And knowing how you're doing at any given moment is truly and sincerely how we do that. So at Trent International, um, we truly and sincerely are actually asking how you're doing, and we are not shy to know that study abroad, and I'm sure Zach and Trinity can confirm this, and from my own study abroad experiences, I can to say that like you will experience a vast range of emotions that are all part and parcel of a really robust experience. So when we ask, we really mean it, and we mean it when seeking to make it the best experience for you. And Trinity, you're doing amazing. So I'm going to hop off the mic again.
thank you. Um, Something you may also have to kind of maybe get used to is the politeness and friendliness. Um, we get this. It's kind of like our stereotype. Canadians are very polite, very friendly, and hopefully Zach can attest to this that it is true. Um, but we say a lot of please, thank you, pardon, excuse me. Um, we're very much like raised in having a lot of manners. So we're making sure that after everything is done, we're saying please and thank you. What shocked a lot of our students is when you're taking the bus transportation around town, people will say thank you to the bus driver after they get off. So that is just one of the examples that I like to share. Um, Also, very common is saying sorry. And we even people I've told me I say sorry in a uniquely Canadian way. So you'll get used to that a lot. Um, it's it's kind of almost a second nature at this point. If I ran into something, I would say sorry to an inanimate object. I don't mean to. It's very much accidental, but you'll just kind of see this a lot. So I want you to get used to it, and maybe you'll even pick up this gesture as well. Um, Also, some more things, tipping culture. It's about 15 to 20% for sit-down restaurants. Um, we very much come from a high tipping culture. A lot of things you tip for. However, um, I would probably say that it's gotten a little bit out of control, and people are expecting you to tip for things you wouldn't necessarily tip for. Like you'll see a tipping option for a Starbucks or Tim Hortons when you come. Just know that you're not expected to tip for those types of things, and you can say no. It is only really expected to tip when you're actually sitting down and you're being served food. That's when the expectation for a tip comes. There's also things like if you get your hair done or if you get your nails done, there is a sort of tip and culture as well if they do a good job. But no, you are never ever like it's no one will force you to tip and you don't have to. If you have bad service, you don't have to tip. Um, but it is part of the culture that if you have a good experience sitting down at a dinner, that you tip, especially if you're a big group. If you're a big group, some restaurants will include the tip already in your bill, so don't be shocked if you see that. But yeah, that's something that many of you will probably have to get used to. You'll see that tip option when you go to pay for things. Um, as well, personal space. If we have a big country and not a lot of people, I think we're a population of about 40 million now. And so we tend to like our space. We don't necessarily, like if you see us lining up, we'll have space between us. We don't like to be shoulder to shoulder. Typically, if you go on a bus, you'll sit kind of far away from someone else who's already sitting there. You won't skip all the available seats and sit down next to the person who's sitting there. Um, that's just a common practice. And some of those mannerisms that I mentioned before. Um, if you're entering a home, take off the shoes. Because of our different seasons, especially in the winter, we do not want to track mud or snow or dirt through the house or through your residence. So just take your shoes off. We hold the door open a lot. You will probably experience this where you are at least a couple meters from a door. Someone will see you and they will hold the door open for you, even though you have quite a way to go. That just happens. That is a collective experience that everyone goes through, and you probably like feel like you want to speed up and be like, "Oh, thank you." But that's just something people do. And we also smile a lot. We have this smile that like you're passing someone on the street, they'll smile, they'll nod, and they'll do a little half smile. So that might throw you off guard if you're not used to random people smiling at you. But again, that's just a cultural difference.
Excellent. And while we're on this page, I'll stop share for a second. And Zach, would you like to take the mic and speak to any of these cultural differences? I mean, maybe you're attuned by now, but anything that you noticed that was particularly different from your experience of Wales or Plymouth?
I think it was just definitely the tipping because I don't do that in the UK, but they always hand you the card machine and then they look away as they're not allowed to watch what you do. And and again the holding the doors open, they I can be so far away and I start running, but they say, no, don't run, don't worry, it's fine. Just like, but I have to run. But
And I will say Trent specifically is exceptional for that door holding culture,
yeah.
which I do find very lovely.
But yeah, I think all those cultural differences were covered very well. I don't think I've noticed anything else. Or I'm just attuned
Oh,
to it now.
yes, Zach, can you actually, because you told me about this, can you speak to your special relationship with the cafeteria staff?
Cafeteria. Okay. Um, yeah, they're nice. They're up for a friendly conversation, you know. Um, Whenever you get food, just I spoke to them about the weather a lot because it is varied here. Right now, people were sunbathing yesterday and it was snowing 2 weeks ago. What is this country? And yeah, but yeah, the cafeteria stuff, yes, they were sad to see me leave, to say the
I think there were
least.
some tears actually.
Yes, yes, they did start to cry, but that's just that was nice though, just our relationship and just how she smiled at me and sometimes gave me a free muffin. But that might not happen with you. Don't count on it.
Yes, I will say though that they really do watch out for our international students, and they really do want to have authentic relationships. Even though, of course, it's transactional because you're using your meal dollars. Um, they really want to take care of our students, and it's a really beautiful opportunity to have a bit of an intergenerational experience when a lot of folks on campus are about the same age. We do have these incredible older generation within our community, and often we see them in our different cafeterias. So
Yeah, they want to find out who we are because we sound different, and they want to find out where, and that's a cool thing. How they want to get to know where we're from and all that. So expect that a fair bit, but
absolutely.
yeah, but it's nice.
Yeah, it is. It does come from genuine care and wanting to take care of our inbound students. Okay, I'm going to start the share again. Ooh,
Yes.
Zach alluded to it, but Trinity, tell us about that weather.
Yes. So the first thing we have on here, which goes towards what Zach said, we have irregular weather. So both inconsistent and sometimes unpredictable. Um, right now we are just entering spring, which is so nice. I think like yesterday it was like 15 degrees, the sun was out. People were like, "Oh my gosh, it's time to start sunbathing." Um, we are very as soon as we see the sun, basically, we're like, okay, we're outside. But one thing to know is we tell our temperature by degrees Celsius. So, yes, so we use Celsius for our temperature specifically, and I'll get into depth more of why I say it like that. But when we're telling temperature, we're talking about Celsius. And so in the fall, so if you're coming around like September, that's when you get the really chill weather. So you're looking at a lows of 10, highs of 15. One of the photos we have there, you can see the campus with all of its colorful leaves. Personally, fall is my favorite season. I think it's so pretty, and I think our campus gets so pretty, but it does not last very long. So you get here in September, and then by October, all of the leaves by the end going into November are gone, and you've entered cold. So you want to soak up all of this warmth and be outside while you still can. Um, because from November to February, even into March, very much winter. It is cold. It could be -20 to -5. You're going to see a lot of snow, ice. And for those months, maybe leaning towards December is when kind of the snow actually sits and stays. So from like December to February, March, there'll just be a permanent layer of snow on the ground and it will be cold. And so um, just keep this in mind when you're planning what activities you want to do, that if you come during those times, it will be cold outside. And so that will determine what kind of activities you'll be able to do outside. And then will come spring, which we're in right now, from March to May. It could range from anywhere from -10 to +10. And that's where that inconsistent and unpredictable happens because, like Zach said, a couple like weeks ago, it snowed, and then the next day it had all melted and it was like really nice outside. So you can look at the weather app, but if it will come true, who knows? We also see a lot of rain in the spring. So we don't see a lot of rain year round. We're pretty sunny, or even when it's winter, it's still pretty sunny most of the time. So just keep that in mind. And then summer, which you'll mostly experience when you're coming here in September, is those lows of 15, high of 25. You may even experience a high of 30. We've been getting hotter and hotter summers, and it does get really hot. And Zach can attest to this. When they came here, it was super hot. So don't think that we're all cold all of the time, especially in that first month when you get here. You're going like bring the shorts, bring the t-shirts, the sunscreen, the hats. It is going to be warm and you do not want to get burnt. And it's also our heat is very humid. So um, keep in mind, like it's not like a dry heat, it's very humid heat. And so that could mean that it's like, yeah, you get very sweaty, your hair gets all frizzy. So these are kind of things just to keep in mind.
And I will say on that note, I know that one of Zach and Esme, our other study abroad award winner, one of their first bonding moments was Esme helping Zach cut off a pair of jeans so that he could jump in the river. So truly, our September goes. The first 3 weeks of September are still summer, and it is deliciously warm. A fabulous opportunity to jump in the river. Also do hiking. Some folks like to go camping on those first weekends, and that I will say by the time we hit Halloween on October 31st, we're sometimes seeing our first snow. So yeah, what an incredible range. Zach, was there anything that surprised you about our weather or any recommendations that you have for really embracing our colder months?
Well, something that surprised me was again, as Trinity said, when I came here in September, I thought, oh, it's Canada, so I don't need to bring shorts or sunscreen. And I did get sunburn, and I did have to, like you said, have to fashion a pair of shorts from jeans, which was great. But yeah, it is quite warm. Um, Cold is very cold. But before coming here, the coldest I'd experienced was -12. Now the coldest I've experienced is -35. But of course, 100% go sledding, go snowboarding, go ice skating. There's there's so many opportunities to go do winter activities here. And talk to Karen and Trinity, and they will point you in the direction of how to accomplish a winter activity. And yeah, it's fun. Do it. I've never done snowboarding before coming here, and we'll see if I do it again. I mean, wasn't the best at it, but yeah.
But I will say, and Zach emulated this perfectly, really do embrace those winter months. We remind all of our international students, but because it can be very cold, and this past winter was exceptional for that. I was thrilled because I do a lot of winter sports, as Trinity knows. Um, but I do recommend trying out and embracing those things. My gosh, Zach, I think it was all the way back in September, was recommending that folks buy skates. And quite a few of them bought a pair of secondhand skates. And so we're able to skate on our free downtown rink. Some of them also took skates all the way to Ottawa to skate. So absolutely embrace those activities, whether it's tobogganing on the drumlin, as Zach said, or even cross country skiing, downhill skiing. Okay, Trinity, back over to you.
Yeah, and so we also alluded to some of these seasonal activities already, but before we do that, I also wanted to highlight what we had mentioned previously as well, and that is to make sure that even though you're bringing kind of think clothes with you, we recommend waiting to buy like winter clothing, um, like actual winter coats and stuff like that until you get to Canada, because even though it may get cold where you are, it won't always get as cold as where it is for us. And so the clothing may not be strong enough to protect you against that cold. So we like to recommend that students go secondhand shopping or thrift shopping for a winter jacket winter boots, scarves, mittens, hats, all that kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, so when you're coming here, just keep that in mind if you're coming for like the full year or even for the fall semester to buy all that winter stuff here. Um, Karen, I think it's zoomed out the presentation.
I tell you, Zoom has actually changed their formatting on me. And so every time I go to turn my camera off, it bumps me out of where I'm sharing.
Okay.
I'm also just, I'm of an older generation. I tease, I'm not that old. I'm just having a moment here, folks. Let me just get that back for us.
But yeah, to add to that, I didn't bring any winter clothes here, and the thrift game here is good. Just like there's many thrift stores around, very accessible, and I got a very nice coat for 20 bucks.
Yeah, which if you buy it like new, it can go from any like a good winter coat can be anywhere from 80 to like $150. So $20 from a thrift shop is quite a steal. So,
It's
and
got
it's
so many pockets, it's wonderful.
yes, lots of yeah, you'll need a lot of pockets, especially in the cold.
Mm.
To keep because I know I would keep my phone in like my jean pocket and then it would get frozen. So you have to keep it like in your inside pockets
Mm.
so you don't freeze your phone. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, so just keep in mind, even though like you might think your winter coat is enough, unless you're like from maybe like a Nordic country or somewhere else that it gets really cold, probably won't be enough. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Oh, no, go back.
Oh, she wants to talk more. There we go.
Yes. Sorry, just briefly going over some seasonal activities. First of all, we want to emphasize that those 3 weeks in the beginning of September going into October, if you're only coming for even the fall or full year, those will be the warmest times that you'll experience. So if you don't like, if you're someone who's gonna adjust to the cold, we recommend doing all the warm weather outdoor activities while you still can. A lot of students wish that we had told them that it got cold very quickly after kind of September, October, and then it's pretty much focused on outdoor cold activities, activities. But during those 3 weeks is when you want to kind of, and the first reading week is kind of when you want to do all those warm outside activities. Things like hiking, walking. In the fall, there's like apple picking, pumpkin picking, kayaking, canoeing. Um, and in the big photo there, that's actually Tobermory. And so that is Bruce Peninsula National Park. So that is about a couple hours north of us. And it's called the Caribbean of Canada because of its obviously pretty, really pretty waters. Um, but I've been there a number of times. It's so pretty. And we have a bunch of places like that. So many provincial parks, so many national parks. Basically, if you're coming to Canada, nature is probably one of the things on your mind. And so use this warmth to see and do as much as you can outside. Of course, you can still do it in the winter. That's completely possible. Um, but some people are a little more hesitant in the cold. So we emphasize soaking it all up while you can. Some winter activities like skiing, snowboarding, sledding, ice skating. And then when it gets warmer in the spring, cycling, berry picking. We have a lot of farms, local farms, berry picking, stuff like that. And then when you first get here, again, a lot of walking, hiking, beaches. We have some. Um, Keep in mind, we are nowhere near the ocean. All of our beaches are on lakes. Um, the ocean is very far away. We're not necessarily in the center of Canada, but we're kind of center east a little bit. So the nearest ocean is like 14, 15 hours away. So you will be surrounded by lakes and rivers, all this fresh water, and it is the best. I'm a preference. I'm a lake person. I don't like the ocean that much, but yeah, these are just some activities that you can do.
Hmm. And on that note, and it's so funny because I remember in orientation saying to folks like, this stunning weather won't last. It is very tricky to wrap your mind around how quickly that change happens. And for that reason, I will even recommend to folks you can come early to start your study abroad, to travel around Canada if part of your priority is to actually experience Canada and all of our coastlines in the summer. I really do recommend that as kind of the gentlest time to travel before your study abroad starts. And then getting to course selection, I'll sometimes recommend to folks that they might wish to choose their fall courses, also based on could it give them the opportunity of a long weekend, for example, so that they can do a little bit more of that travel. So a few things to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Transportation.
Yes, transportation. So, um, what you'll quickly learn, especially if you're coming from a place like Europe, where trains are a really popular way to get around and they're quite affordable sometimes. Um, Canada, because it's so big, um, transportation isn't great around the country. So in populated areas, it's great. You're gonna have trains, you're gonna have buses, all this kind of stuff. But the further you go away from people, the less opportunity that there is going to be to find a sort of public transportation. And so, um, thankfully in Peterborough, we have a great public transportation system. And so one thing that is we like to emphasize to students is that when you come to Trent, you get all the access to all the same amenities as our Trent students do, and that includes a bus pass. And so within Peterborough, it will all you have to do is show your bus pass, and you'll be able to get on any public bus and travel within Peterborough completely free. So you won't have to pay for a bus while you're in Peterborough. Once you leave the city, then you'll have to start paying for it. But within it, if you're traveling to class, if you're going grocery shopping, if you're going to a hockey game, all of that is covered by your bus pass. So take advantage of that. We do have transportation from Peterborough to Toronto, and so you'll be able to take a bus from Peterborough to Oshawa and then Oshawa to Toronto, which is we're about 2 hours away from Toronto, so um, it's not necessarily a quick drive or ride by any means, but it's nice to be a little separated from that. Um, in terms of our trains, we kind of have two options. We have the GO train, which is very Toronto central. So it's like an hour east and an hour west of Toronto is where you'll find the GO train. Um, and then we have the Via Rail. The Via Rail would be across country. You can also go between Toronto and Montreal, Toronto and like the big cities out west, or to Vancouver. So Via Rail would be definitely the train you'd look at for farther distances. Now that can be quite expensive, so keep in mind when you are purchasing it. It's better to purchase it well in advance for cheaper tickets, but if it's last minute, it's probably going to be quite expensive. Um, Another thing people are surprised to learn is planes. Planes are very expensive as well. Um, you'd think flying within our country would be cheaper because, you're flying within your country, but it is not. Sometimes it is cheaper to leave the country than it is to fly within Canada, which is quite unfortunate. But sometimes we'll find that students will find deals during reading weeks where they can get deals. And so they'll fly to Vancouver or they'll fly to Calgary or in Alberta to see Banff. So there are deals happening all the time. So you just got to keep an eye. You've got to be like an expert, like deal finder, I guess. Um, and for people who like to soak up the sun, you can also buy a bike for cheap. Karen really recommends this. She's a very advocate for cycling. So you can cycle as well, see the area, and then you can sell your bike at the end of your term. In terms of cars, you'll find that we are very car-centric country because, again, big country, not great transportation. Most people will have a car or know someone who has a car. So that is a big part of our culture. It's not, especially Peterborough, from the campus to the city center, it is not very walkable, um, especially in the winter. So you'll have to rely on buses and public transit. But if you want to take a trip and you're thinking about renting a car, you have to be at least 21 years old. Um, so that's just something to keep in mind when you are thinking of maybe doing a trip or planning a road trip. Um, I know some of you will probably be 21, so that will be great, but if not, you'll have to find someone who's 21 or older. And then, yeah, just the driving versus walking culture, big country, long distances, which means more people drive, not very walkable. Once you're downtown, you can walk, but like getting there, we recommend taking the bus. And most people prefer to just drive. So you'll find that you'll be like, oh, we can walk there. And they'll be like, no, I want to drive. So that's just a difference in a cultural difference in the way we see things. Just because it's so long, we just tend to drive places.
I'm just going to stop the share momentarily just to welcome. We have a few folks who have just joined us. Welcome to Wong and Beatrice. We're about an hour into our presentation, and fear not because we have been recording. And for all of you who have joined us and have been here for the last hour, I wanted to take a pause for a moment just to see if we've had questions come up as folks have been listening. And I also wanted to invite Zach to take the mic because, again, he's heard this. It would have been about a year ago, Zach, that we were on this very same call. Now, seeing it a second time, what are things that you wish you had understood better or known a little bit more about that might have enriched your time? And Beatrice, do not worry at all. We absolutely will be sharing that recording, Beatrice, and it happens absolutely to all of us. Was identifying they mixed up the time zones, which my gosh, Beatrice, don't worry, I have done that before. So yeah, very much welcome, and it is absolutely recorded. Zach, over to you for a moment.
Okay. To be honest, you guys outlined it pretty well. I'm honestly,
Aw,
uh,
Thank you.
I wish I had this question in advance. Um,
nope.
no, I'll have to improvise. But y yeah, honestly, I can't think of a single thing, which sucks because I want to give some insight.
Few things that I will mention then that other study abroad students have mentioned to me. Um, the 2 hours that it takes, for example, to get into Toronto, that can be intimidating for folks. And some folks have let me know that they felt like they left their first Toronto experience too long, that they wish they'd gone in earlier to take advantage of the sunny weather, to go over to Toronto Island, to take part in some of the fall festivals that happen in the big city. And I know Kevin always emphasized this during our in-person orientation sessions, but it's a $10 24-hour ticket on the weekends. And so I really do recommend that is your cheapest way to get into Toronto is to take the GO bus from our big Swiss cheese building, Zosky, and to then catch the train all the way in to take in baseball games. And Zach, did you take any in any Jays games this year?
Unfortunately, didn't because Greg took the last ticket. But
Oh,
the university does offer. Well, at least this year they offered a trip to Toronto to watch a Jays game, and I would highly recommend it, especially at the
and
start of the year because they have the roof open. and you can see the CN Tower from within the stadium, which I think, I'm very jealous that I didn't get to get that in time. I blame Greg.
Absolutely. And I will say there are so many opportunities like that. I know a lot of folks took in our big amusement park, Canada's Wonderland, early in the fall. Lots of other trips. We have, and lots of you will call them societies at your home universities. We have a lot of clubs and groups, and truly, they are the ones that subsidize these incredible adventures. As Zach said, our student union tickets, because they are very subsidized, they're like hotcakes. They go quickly, and you will have noticed Trinity on one of the slides mentions following all of these groups on Instagram. Start now so that you are poised very first thing in the fall to actually start registering for and scooping up those hot deals. I did notice a few questions in the chat. We'll just peek into there. So Elisa is wondering if they arrive a little bit early, can we stay in student residences? You can pay per night to arrive early into student residences. You can't actually pay to arrive exceptionally early because they don't staff them. So if you do arrive early, you are responsible to kind of to house yourself. I don't recommend necessarily coming straight to Peterborough, though. I would recommend if you want to stay in Toronto or travel to other parts of Canada, do that even before you come for your orientation week. And there are some opportunities also to pay to store your luggage as well, just so that you don't feel like you're having to drag it around with you on planes and trains. Great question. Any other questions for which folks would like to take the mic? And again, as folks know, this is going to be recorded. So if you would prefer to hop off, we do know that you've been here with us, a lot of you, for an hour, and we thank you so much for taking that hour out of your day. But we will do a few more slides and, of course, answer a few more questions if folks want to stay on. Phoebe, fabulous question. How many inbound international students do we have on that roster so far, Trinity? Trinity's been inputting all of the application information.
Yeah, I was just going to look that up to count. I don't know the exact number, but the thing about Trent Study Abroad program is we're quite a small program, which we really like, and hopefully Zach can attest to this, but we're very much a close and close-knit group because there are so few of us. And so that also means we're able to put on events. We had soup socials at least once a semester where it was just like the end of a semester and we just wanted to gather. Karen made a wonderful soup for people. We had baguette. It was like a great opportunity for all of us to sit down and just chat about how the semester has been. And so, yeah, it's very much a smaller program than maybe some other that you may be part of before. And Trent as well is not a huge university. So I will just.
Great. And I'm just going to admit Sandra, and thanks so much to Johannes. I saw that they needed to hop off to go back to class. I know so many of you are at different points in your day. I know at one point we had 35 on the roster. It's actually shifting. I am even getting some late nominations from universities who needed to shift course with their nominations. Also, while Trinity's checking, excellent question from Ellen, who was asking when you will be made aware of your acceptance. So we, as some of you will know, have been reviewing all of your application information. Essentially, unless there's like a strong mismatch between our acceptance criteria or nomination criteria and the application, there generally isn't a reason why we wouldn't accept you. And so it's more of a processing of information. We actually really rely on our partners to only nominate eligible students. And so I can honestly say I've never had a student application from a nominated student that we haven't yet been able to accept. Please, none of you prove me wrong. But also it does take a little bit of time to process and input you into our administrative database so that we can issue the letters of acceptance, which I'm actively doing right now. So I do expect and anticipate kind of within the next week that our registrar will start to send out the letters of acceptance. So great questions.
Yeah, and I just
Right.
found the number here. So right now we've received 25 applications. We may be waiting on a couple more, so that number may increase. But as of right now, we have 25 impound students. So it's a very small cohort, and you guys will be able to connect and kind of form a little group of your own.
Mm-hmm. And so that 25, it includes our inbound for fall and for full year. And then we actually have another cohort that will be joining us in the winter as
Yeah,
well.
we don't know numbers yet exactly yet. So
Yeah, some choose to nominate early and some will nominate a little bit later into our summer and fall. All right, can you see that share again, Trinity?
yes.
Perfect.
Awesome. Language and accents. So this is fun. As some of you may know, Canada has two official languages, English and French. Um, but French is mainly spoken in Quebec and the East Coast. As well, there are pockets of French speakers in other provinces like Ontario. However, at Trent, people will, like all of the lecturers and people you encounter will speak English. So do not worry if you do not speak French. That's okay. You will not be expected to, especially in Ontario. English is largely spoken. So just keep that in mind if you plan on traveling to Quebec. If you go to the popular areas like Montreal, you'll get a mix of English and French, but further from the city you go in Quebec, the more French will be spoken, and that's actually many people's first language in Quebec. So keep that in mind. Um, also, some little niche things as well. I've been told I talk fast sometimes. If I or anyone else you're speaking to is speaking too fast, just let them know. They're happy to slow down. We also have regional accents, maybe not quite established as some other countries, but we do have like the Quebecois accent. Newfoundland, which is East Coast, has quite a strong accent that sounds almost Irish. And then there's city versus small town. And you'll find this in a lot of the slang that is used. Um, and so I also want to draw your attention to one of the photos here, which you can see our currency. I've been told it looks like Monopoly money. It's very colorful, very pretty. Um, and if you get a brand new $100 bill, it smells like maple syrup. It just does. Okay. So, just that's just what our currency looks like. We have transitioned to more of a like card, so cashless society, but there are still many places that accept cash, so it's always good to have some on hand if you need it. Um, and so yeah, that's just kind of what our bills look like. Um, and now we're gonna do learn some Canadian words. So this is my favorite part of the presentation. Um, can we go to the next page, Karen? Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna need your help here, Karen. So, um, The first one right here. So if you can just click once, Karen. Oh, just go back.
Trinity, I tell you, it has switched up all of my controls here. Actually, Trinity, for this part, do you want to start sharing your
Okay.
version? Because what I noticed is when I clicked on it, it gave away all of your answers.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we had enough time to do that. So I was just gonna go over it myself. But
Amazing, amazing. I might get you to share just so that yeah,
for
I
sure.
don't mess with your rhythm too much.
All right. Let me share. Allow. Do, 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 do. Here we are. Okay. Present. Okay, so normally I do this as a little game, but for now I'm just gonna do it more as a informal in like a fun, just here's some fun Canadian slang words or terms. Um, so first the coins here. So the golden one with the loon on it, that is our dollar coin. And this with the polar bear on it is our $2 coin. And what's fun about this is we have a little nickname for our coins, and this is how you will generally see them referred to. So because the dollar coin has a loon on it, we call it a loonie. Oh, we're going backwards. Okay. And so just because we love rhyming and it has nothing to do with the polar bear, we call the $2 a toonie. So it's a loony and toonie. So a lot of the time, if you're going shopping or something and you're paying in cash, they'll ask, do you have a loony? Do you have a toonie? That's just our dollar or $2 coin. Second, these cans, referred to by a number of names. I've heard soda, or just like a can. We call these pop. A lot of these will mainly kind of be differences between us and the UK or us and the US, because we have different words for things. So we use pop. These little donut holes to the right here, they are what you can get at Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is one of the most popular Canadian like cafe, kind of like equivalent to like a Starbucks. So you get your coffees, your donuts, that kind of stuff. So these donut holes are actually called Timbits, and they're really good. So I recommend you try them when you get over here. Um, Another thing, these bags of chips, they're chips. I think the UK calls them crisps. And I know it's a different brand. It's not called Lay's. You have a different brand over there. But ours are called chips. This building, we don't call them flats, we call them apartments. Um, these little hats here, they would be toque. So that'd be a winter hat. Typically one that has like a little um ball on it. Um, these where you park over here, parking lot. Um, and then over here, which is a very popular summer treat. Some of you might call it like an ice popsicle, ice lolly, all that kind of stuff. We call them freezy. Um, Even though these ones are quite obviously the brand, they're called Mr. Freeze, but we call any sort of frozen, colorful um, treat that's shaped like this a freezy. Um, and then this one over here, we don't queue, we line up. Um, and then this one, very literal, sidewalk. Um, Store on the corner where you can get your little bits and bobs. That's a corner store, a convenience store. Shoes that you run in, running shoes. If you catch a pattern, we're very literal with some of the things that we use. And then this is a vacuum. So those are some of our terms there. Karen, did you want me to keep going or did you want to start sharing?
No, you keep on going. This is fabulous.
Perfect. All right. So food, the fun stuff. Um, these are foods as recommended by previous exchange students and us. And just to get your mind rolling, Zach, I want you to think of some of the favorite foods that you've tried. I'm going to ask you once I'm done listing these to name some of your favorites. But some of the things we do recommend, poutine, probably number one. It's the biggest photo there. It is fries, French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. It is so good. It's one of my favorite foods. We also have beaver tails. That is not a literal beaver's tail. That is actually a doughy dessert. It is like a fried dough, and then there's different toppings you can put on it, but it is in the shape of a beaver's tail, hence the name. Um, we have chips. Some popular Canadian flavors are ketchup chips and all dressed, both are which are amazing. Um, butter tarts, which are the tiny little dessert in the corner here. The main ingredient is butter, but it's a very sweet pastry. Sometimes there's raisins in it, sometimes there's different nuts, but they are very, very good as well. And of course, if you're coming to Canada, you need to try all of our maple flavored things. We're very known for our maple syrup. And in the winter, we even have maple taffy, which they serve a very unique way, which is on snow. And then there's also other desserts like Nanaimo bars, um, Timbits, like I mentioned before, Pimell bacon or Canadian bacon. And then again, more maple flavored things like maple cookies. We'll probably bring this maple cookies. I like to bring them when I first meet students for the first time so they can all try these maple cookies because they're one of my favorite things ever. And a lot of people also put maple syrup in their coffee or tea instead of a honey. So that's something you can also try as well. Um, but Zach, okay, your turn. What is your favorite Canadian food that they should try?
Okay, so some places do poutine, but they also put stuff on it. And I find just pulled pork poutine to be the best, like, version of that food, you know? Um, Also Tim Hortons, anything they do there is quite good. I like to get myself some assorted Timbits. Um, the thing I've had most here, I feel like isn't necessarily a food, but the Tim Hortons sells hot chocolate powder,
Mhm.
and I get the 1.5 kilogram pots, and I've gone through 8 of them. So,
Oh my goodness.
um, it's really good. It's better than the UK hot chocolate. I think it's a bit sweeter, so that's
Mm.
why I like it a bit more. But yeah, again, you've listed these off very well. I really can't think of anything you haven't said.
Yeah, I did maybe take all the feedback that you guys gave us in our last meeting to
Oh
improve
yeah.
it. So that might also be why.
I will say I'm noticing a lot of processed food on the list. Um, and often our students might forget that we have we are surrounded by farmland in the Kawarthas. And so we actually have really robust farmers markets that exist all year round. One of the oldest has just celebrated an over 100-year anniversary. And especially during the fall, we have one that happens right downtown on both Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then another one that happens all the way down on Lansdowne, both very accessible by bus. And I really, really do recommend trying seasonal produce and also just the experience of a farmer's market. It's very festive. Um, and and I've actually done tours of farmers markets with students before, and often because I know some of the vendors, they'll give little samples to students. So very, very highly recommend all of any of these things that are listed here. You could try any time of year, but don't forget we do have real seasonal specialties.
Yes.
Okay, Trinity, back at you.
Yes, and on that note, like I previously mentioned, kind of fall time is very much apple picking season or like pumpkins. And so apple picking, I definitely recommend. We have so many different flavors of apples, and we're definitely in an area where they grow and I'm a big apple fan. So lots of different types of apples. And then in the spring, more berries as well that you can go picking. But yeah, definitely enjoy the farmers markets when you can. Experience. So these are again a list of things that we recommend that you try or just kind of have an idea before you go of things we recommend that you try for the first time. So sledding, tobogganing, essentially you just have a sled. It's a winter activity and you slide down a very tall hill. It's like this person right here in the medium photo. Very fun. Zach,
You don't even need a sled.
I was gonna say,
We we use bin bags and they still worked.
yeah, that might hurt a little bit, but um,
Well, yeah, try and
and
get a
often.
sled, but
And we have a great hill on near campus so that you can try going down that one. Um, and then hockey games. So this big photo is of our Peterborough Petes, and so they are a local team. They're like a junior team, I guess I would describe it. So it's like 16 to 21. And so they're a decent team and they're always fun to watch, and the t tickets are pretty cheap. So it's a fun activity to do. Again, pumpkin patches, especially in the fall, especially for Halloween. There's a little pumpkin photo here. It's very much a whole event. You can go to a pumpkin patch, you can go through a corn maze. They'll put you on a wagon ride to pick up your pumpkin. There's like hot apple cider. Like it's very much an event. We really like our holidays and our seasons. And so we celebrate them a lot. And also take advantage of nature, swim in the river while it's really warm. Thanksgiving, so that's one of our holidays here. It's actually for us it's in October. In the US, Thanksgiving is in November, completely different date. Um, and so our Thanksgiving is basically just a time to be grateful, sort of potluck. Everyone brings food. A lot of our exchange students will do a Friendsgiving type of dinner where they all make something from their own country and then they'll sit together and they'll eat it. And then other recommendations, camping at a provincial park. Niagara Falls is super popular, as well as Montreal, which is probably the most European looking city within Canada. So these are just some ideas of experiences. What about you, Zach? Do you have any recommendations for experiences
um,
or comments about something you've done that you recommend?
well, I just used this as a quick checklist, and I thought done that, done that, done that, done that, and uh, again nailed it. I went to a powwow, an indigenous festival thing, and that was quite good. And that just a lot of things are offered by the university, so take them where you can. There's a society slash club here called Trent Outdoors. They offer a lot of things such as winter camping or hot, warm tent camping, something like that, like climbing. Just I know a lot of people that have, gone on adventures like that. But yeah, I've done all that. Advice. If you go to the CN Tower in Toronto, don't pay extra to go to the very top. It's the same view.
Yeah. Oh,
And that's all
that
from me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the CN Tower is quite one of those popular touristy destinations. I think I've only ever been there once in my life. It's pretty cool, I guess, to do it once. Um, but yeah, be careful of those touristy prices because it could be quite expensive. Um,
And I'll jump in here to say, and Zach highlighted a few of them. Um, our students who were able to do so many of these things really took advantage of the trips offered by our clubs and our societies. And one of the things that you'll see, and oh, thanks so much, Izzy. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Izzy's just hopping off. Um, but I will say that all of our students, we actually pay an ancillary fee, and that actually pays into our clubs and groups. And so when you're seeing all of these trips and they're very deeply discounted, it's because our student body is actually subsidizing them. Same thing with our collegiate system. We have 5 different colleges, and they'll all offer different events. So when Zach was mentioning going to the powwow, that was actually deeply subsidized, I think actually free, because of every student paying into the college system. Because these things are often offered, I recommend taking full advantage. A lot of these opportunities, they require one of those yellow cheese wagons. You have to take a bus to them. And again, they wouldn't necessarily be possible through public transit, but our university is really good at making sure that students have these opportunities. And we're getting better and better at emphasizing to students where you can find these opportunities through your clubs and groups. Because absolutely, and I see Zach hopping on the mic to share more about that. But even things like a Thanksgiving dinner, and I can't remember, Zach, did you go on the bus to the farm and the Thanksgiving dinner?
I did go there, and it was very fun. I had to spontaneously give a speech, but it was it was great. You won't necessarily have to do that if you go there. I offered.
But it is really wonderful, and also our university really wants to make sure that our international students have different opportunities. So the Thanksgiving that I mentioned, it's very specifically for international students, and it's a local couple who have been putting it on annually for 30 plus years because they really know that getting out to a farm, sharing a meal is such a uniquely Canadian experience. So thank
Um,
you for sharing that. And Zach, yeah, tell us more.
oh, I just wanted to say that there's a free zoo like 10 minutes away. I
Oh,
went
did
there
you go there
yesterday.
yesterday, Zach?
Yes, I did go there yesterday. There's a baby meerkat there right
To
now.
see the new wallabies.
Yeah, I know yeah, and it's
Yeah.
free.
Oh, yes, indeed, a very, very walkable distance.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
Trinity.
Awesome. So now a little fun fact section. So this is our last section here, but I just threw in some fun facts about Canada, which might be fun to know before you come. Um, the Apology Act. So this is actually, I think, specific to Ontario, but we say sorry so much that it actually was written into law. And so if you are in court, you are allowed to apologize to someone and it will not be seen as admission of guilt, which is pretty fun. Um, Another thing, Canada is so big, there are 6 time zones that it covers. We are currently in the Eastern Standard Time. But if you travel east or west, you're going to be either going in the past or in the future. So keep that in mind. Our national animal is a beaver, which is this guy right here. Um, Canada is part of the Commonwealth, so technically we do have a monarchy, which is the English monarchy, and you will see the monarchy on our coins and our bills. I don't know if they changed it to Charles, but right now it's Queen Elizabeth. Um, and then the polar bear capital of the world is actually Churchill, Manitoba, where they tend to leave their car doors open so that if you encounter a polar bear, you can quickly get in the car and protect yourself because polar bears can be quite aggressive. But there are no polar bears in Peterborough, so you'll be fine. And then I was mentioning about Celsius and temperature earlier. So officially, Canada has adopted the metric system. However, fun little tidbit is we both use metric and imperial depending on what you're using it for, because we are influenced by both the UK and the US. So if you are driving, you will see the distances measured in kilometers. However, people will never use kilometers when they're speaking. If they say, how far away is that? No one is asking for the distance. They will say, oh, it is 2 hours. Oh, it is 30 minutes. We tend to judge distance in time. So how long it actually takes together to get there versus, the actual physical numbers of kilometers. You'll notice if you're in an annex, if you have your own kitchen, that if you're using the oven, it will be in Fahrenheit. So you'll have to preheat to 200 Fahrenheit, 300, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's pretty much for any sort of recipes as well. You'll find any recipes in Canada, it will always use measurements for baking in Fahrenheit for the most part. Of course, there may be some exceptions, but generally that's Fahrenheit. And then like someone's height, if you ask them what their height is, they'll mention in feet. So for example, I'm 5'6". However, our license plate will measure us in centimeters. So no one will know their height in centimeters unless they pull out their license. But we have it measure in centimeters, even though we verbally talk about it in feet. So that's just one of the fun nuances and one of the ways that Canada is influenced by both the US and the UK. And you'll find a lot of those differences. Some ways we're influenced by the US, some ways we're influenced by the UK. And it'll be a fun little game of things you'll discover when you're here for yourself, because we don't want to give everything away.
Yeah,
Um,
there's that, and I also found with weight there's also a difference because when I was renting a snowboard, they asked for my weight in pounds, and I don't know my weight in pounds, so I had to quickly look it up, and just that was fun.
yeah, so there are little fun things. I don't know why we do it that way. That's just the way it is. And it gets easier to remember once you do it, but yeah, just some fun things to know. Also some of these photos, this is Niagara Falls, very, very pretty. And then there's a Canadian geese and an American eagle. And it was actually a photo that made like the news a while back because the geese beat the American eagle and it was like a battle. I don't know. It's a fun picture. Um, but yeah, so that's our presentation. Um, like I said, follow us on Instagram, Trent Study Abroad. And from there, you'll also be able to find other social media to follow, like we had been mentioning before, but all the different colleges. And we'll be able to look at our Instagram and find them from there. And we'll also be sharing them. So if you do anything, please follow us on social media. We post on there all the time, especially profiles from previous students, so you can see what they got up to while they were abroad, as well as any events or anything that's happening. And yeah, if you have any questions, um, this is your time to ask them.
And I will also say that I am so impressed that so many of you have hung in there for over a little bit more than an hour and a half. Of course, this is recorded so that you can enjoy it anytime, and we will be sharing this with everyone. But perhaps, Trinity, would you actually mind stopping the recording just so that folks can take the mic or put on their cameras if they feel comfortable
Yep.
to ask questions?
Yep.
And again, we'd love to hear your voices.